For my friends, everything. For my enemies, the law. That quote, often attributed to various Latin American dictators, now seems to encapsulate the modern-day Republican Party's approach to justice. You see, for the GOP, it is not just bad when people aren't punished for violating the law. It's also bad when members of their own party are punished. Simply put, Republicans want the justice system applied differently depending on the target. Look no further than their reaction to the Hunter Biden plea deal. Since that agreement was announced, Republicans have been tripping over themselves, rushing to the nearest TV news camera to scream, unironically, that the Biden DOJ has a double standard when it comes to justice. In fact, just this week, the Republican chairs of three, not one, not two, but three major House committees issued a joint statement blasting what they call the, quote, two-tiered system of justice applied to the Hunter Biden investigation. And that is despite statements from both the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, and the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney in charge of the case denying any improprieties with either the probe or the plea deal. Conservatives said the agreement, in which Hunter Biden agreed to plead guilty to misdemeanor tax charges and will avoid full prosecution on a separate gun charge, reeks of preferential treatment. But let's put aside their words and conspiratorial thinking for a second and actually look at the facts of the Hunter Biden case. Legal experts tell NBC News that the kind of tax charges brought against Hunter Biden are rarely brought against first-time offenders, and even more rarely result in jail time. As former FBI General Counsel and friend of the show Andrew Weissman put it, quote, "This is, if anything, harsh, not lenient." And this deal, which was agreed upon by Hunter Biden's lawyers and the, again, Trump-appointed U.S. attorney who has been investigating him for the last 5 years, will need the final sign-off from a Trump-appointed judge next month. Now, that doesn't sound like the vast Democratic conspiracy Republicans have made this out to be. And despite this, Donald Trump says the agreement is the equivalent of a, quote, traffic ticket, and he now believes the justice system is, quote, corrupt. But the truth is, Trump's lawyers tried to get him to take a plea deal, and he rejected their efforts, according to the Washington Post. So he could have had more favorable treatment like Hunter Biden. But instead, according to the indictment against him, he obstructed officials at nearly every turn. And if you want to talk about the so-called two tiers of justice, what about this new reporting? According to the Washington Post, the Justice Department slow-walked its probe into Trump's involvement in January 6 for more than a year out of fear of appearing partisan. Does that sound like something a Justice Department under President Trump or even a hypothetical Ron DeSantis would do? Be cautious and thoughtful and do everything by the book slowly? So with those facts in mind, let's get to the bottom of what the GOP is really doing here. They are using Hunter Biden as a distraction, hoping you don't remember that their guy, the frontrunner of the Republican Party in the nomination, is currently in way more dangerous and consequential legal trouble. In fact, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer just vowed to continue his Hunter Biden distraction campaign and push forward with his panel's month-long probe into the president's son's, promising the DOJ's deal would have, quote, no impact on his investigation. And as we have made clear on this show many times before, if the evidence pointed to wrongdoing, we would acknowledge it and understand the need for an investigation into the Bidens. We would demand it. But so far, Comer has found zero actual evidence that anyone in President Biden's family was peddling influence or engaging in business schemes like he has alleged. All innuendo. All talk, nothing more. It is the same tactic Republicans have used for years to discredit the Russia investigation. And this month, in what Republicans hoped would be a public relations win, the House Judiciary Committee invited former special counsel John Durham to testify for more than 5 hours about his report on the FBI investigation regarding collusion between Russian officials and Trump's 2016 campaign. Let me be very clear for you. Republicans could only hope for a public relations win because, just like James Comer with Hunter Biden, John Durham failed to provide evidence that the government had acted maliciously in the Russia investigation against Trump or his campaign. Over the course of the entire 4-year probe, Durham got one guilty plea from a low-level FBI lawyer on a minor charge. Not exactly a massive deep state conspiracy. Certainly not the weaponization of the justice system that Republicans kept banging on about, and a point that Democrats made clear during that hearing.
And with all these resources and all these people you were sent to help you investigate the investigators, you only filed 3 criminal cases. You only brought 2 cases to trial, correct?
Correct.
And you lost all the cases you brought to trial, correct?
Correct.
Touting those stolen documents on the campaign trail over 100 times?
I said, I don't really read the newspapers or listen to the news. I don't
Well, really,
find all that reliable, so I don't know that.
Mr. Durham, you're totally oblivious to Donald Trump's use of the stolen emails on the campaign trail more than 100 times? Did that escape your attention?
You can hold yourself out as an objective Department of Justice official or as a partisan hack, and the more that you try to spin the facts and not answer my questions, you sound like the latter.
Republicans have refused to accept the truth about the Russia investigation, and now they're refusing to accept the truth about the charges against Hunter Biden. As MSNBC's Jahan Jones notes, with both Hunter Biden and Durham, the Republicans had dreams of the DOJ being an attack dog against their political enemies, and both dreams have gone up in flames. And when their dreams go up in flames, the GOP gets more desperate. They are not going to back down or stop making baseless accusations about Hunter Biden or the Russia investigation, and they are taking the same tactic with the investigations facing Donald Trump. The MAGA Keystone cops of the GOP are so desperate to protect Trump and shift the media focus that they're planning bogus impeachment proceedings against President Biden. Yes, you heard that correctly. Impeachment proceedings against President Biden and his cabinet officials, and are continuing to spread debunked and baseless conspiracies, all while hypocritically and shamelessly defending Trump at every turn. James Comer, Jim Jordan, other MAGA Republicans, they have made clear that their focus is to hurt President Biden in an attempt to get Trump back into the White House. So I want to warn you, they're not going to stop. No matter how little evidence they find, no matter how unbelievable the conspiracies become, these conspiracy theories are. And it's up to all of us to call it out and set the record straight every chance we get.